Let me ask you, what kind of rates of return are you getting on your money? Are you getting 20%, 50, 100% or more a year? Do you want to know how you can get these types of returns without really much effort on your part? Well, I'm going to show you how I've been able to get these high rates of return pretty much without doing a single thing. Coming up. Hey everyone, it's Ali the Finance Father, and welcome to my channel if you're new, where you will learn all kinds of finance tips and strategies that your father probably never taught you, like investing or making passive income, credit management, how to lower your taxes, and other tips that will help you to live a better life. I'm really excited. Today's video, I'm going to show you about how you can make high rates of return on your money without really working for it. Well, actually, your money's going to be hard at work, working and growing, and you're just going to sit back and relax and watch it grow. But before I begin, please consider subscribing to my channel, as it will really help me out. All right, so let's begin. So this passion for making money that I've always had started when I was really little. In middle school, after Halloween, I would go out trick-or-treating, and all the extra candy that I would have, I would bring to school and I would sell it to the other kids, maybe for a dime or a quarter here and there. But I realized that I made a couple $100s from that. And then in high school, I would write down lyrics and words to popular songs. And this was before, the internet was around and lyrics were widely available. So I would write all the words to these songs and then sell those to other kids. And I made some money there. And then later on in high school, of course, I started mowing lawns like many other young boys do, and started making money there. And so I've always had this interest of making money and this entrepreneurial spirit. And then I graduated, high school, and I went on to college, and I got a degree in business. And after I graduated college, really my first job was with a financial services company. And that really opened my eyes to the world of investing and to the stock market in general. Because then I realized, wow, you can make some really good money here. Now, if you take a look at this graph shows you how the S&P 500, which is the top 500 companies in the US, how the performance has done. And as you can see, since its inception way back in 1926, all the way through now, so it's pretty much like 90 years, the average rate of return has been about 10%, which is actually pretty good. So I realized, you know what? There's something to this. The stock market is a good way to make some money. And then the second thing I really learned from, the financial services company is the power of compound interest. Now, compound interest is amazing. Many people call it the eighth wonder of the world. But let me show you an example here about how powerful it is. Take a look here. Here's an example of two individuals. Now, one individual begins investing at the age of 22, and they invest $2,000 every year. So that comes to about $166 a month. Now, they invest from the age 22 all the way through age 29, and then they stop investing. No more. They don't put a single dime into their investment. Now you take person B, Now this guy waits to start investing until age 29, but he invests the same thing, $2,000 every year or $166 a month. But he invests from 29 years old all the way to 65 years. Now, who do you think is going to have more money in this scenario when they go to retire? Well, surprisingly, when they're both at 65 years old, the person A, which is the one that invested only 7 years of $2,000 a month. So he only put in $14,000 in total into his investment, ends up having more money than the person who started at 29 and put in all those years of investment. Reason is because of compound interest. So the earlier you start, the more time your money has to grow. And so it's like a snowball. It starts small, but then it starts to grow and grow and grow even bigger. And so when you have it over a long period of time, it can balloon to a great size. And so keep in mind here, one point is that time is your best friend, so start early. Now, I wish my father would have taught me something like this, because if I would have started out when I was early and I would have just invested like half of what I had, I would have been a millionaire. I would have my own island right now. So that's why it's critical, that you learn these concepts and that you start early, and teach your kids about it too, so that they can start early. Now you may be thinking, all right, I get it. The stock market is a great place to invest money, but where do I get started? Or where should I invest it and put my money into? Well, this is where education goes a long way, and doing some research. Now, there are various types of investment vehicles that you can put it in, such as individual stocks. Now, individual stocks are great because you can really grow if a company does really well. So you can invest like in Amazon or Google or even Tesla, which is really hot right now, and over the last year has grown a huge amount, so you can make some money there. But there's also risks associated with it, and if the stock, the company's price goes down, you may lose a little bit as well. So the second good vehicle is mutual funds. Now, mutual funds, basically what they do is they pool a lot of people's money into one fund, and that one fund is managed by a money manager, and they invest it spread out through many different companies. So in a way, you're diversifying or spreading out your risk, so that if one company does well or one company does, not so good, then at least it's kind of balanced. But overall theme here is that there's going to be more companies in this fund that are going to do better than just, than others. And it's even safer than just investing and putting your eggs all in one basket and betting on one stock. Now, you could also buy bonds, government bonds or state bonds, municipal bonds. And these basically are loans that the government, or IOUs that the government or the states give to people when they collect money from them. And it's their pledge to pay back those monies with some kind of interest. Usually the interest is low, sometimes around 3, 4, 5%, but you could put your money there. Fourth one, is CDs. Now you can go to a bank, this is a certificate of deposit, and you can say, hey, I have $10,000, I want to invest it into a CD, and that CD is locked in for 1 year, and you will get a certain set interest rate. Typically, it could be 1, 2, 3%, so it's kind of on the lower side, but for a lot of people that are in retirement or older and they don't want to risk their money, this will be a good investment for them. And lastly is savings accounts. At your bank, if you have a savings account, I'm sure they will give you a little bit of a percentage, but don't even get me started about that because it is so pitiful. I think my bank savings account gives me 0.01%. So it's so low that don't even consider it as an option. But, also, your choice as to where you invest your money depends on several factors. Now, one is your investment time or your horizon. So, do you need this money now, or do you need it in 5 or 10 years? Or is it something that you want to have for retirement, and that could be 20 or 30 years? So, depending on when you're going to be needing this money is also going to determine what type of investment vehicle you put it in. The next thing that you have to consider is your level of risk. Now, I know the performance of the stock market, and it goes up and it goes down and it goes up and it's down, but overall the trend is always performing good. And so I know that I'm okay with it growing and then going down, but some people are scared or they're not as comfortable to see that their investment has gone down. And so you have to determine what risk level you are comfortable with. And the third thing is also taking consideration is the tax bracket you're in. So if you live, like say in New York, where you have to pay federal and a high state tax, well then you may want to invest, say, in state municipal bonds, because you can get some tax credits that will help offset your state income tax. And so you have to look at your scenario, where you live and your tax bracket to depend if that's going to be a useful strategy for you. Now, after taking all these considerations into account, my recommendation would be to invest in mutual funds. Why? Because first of all, it's very easy to start. You can start with as little as $25 to open an account. Of course, you could add more to it if you wanted to, but for beginners, it's very simple and easy to get started. Also, you can invest in great companies. So I know Amazon right now is over $3,000 for one share. Many people don't have $3,000 to invest. And if they do, that's only one share. So if you invest in mutual funds, you'll have potentially access and investments into all the great companies around, the names of companies that you buy regularly and that you know of. The next thing is also that the risk is spread out over all those companies. Like I mentioned, a mutual fund could be invested in 100 different companies. So you might have 20 that don't perform well, but the other 80 might perform well. And so that mutual fund will improve in value. And so that risk is spread over all those companies. And like I mentioned earlier, the S&P 500 has grown 10%, and mutual funds have done over 10% over a shorter period of time, like say over the last 10 or 15 years, the S&P 500 has done 12 or 15%. So I think you can get really good rates of returns investing in mutual funds. And the last thing is that mutual funds are professionally managed by a money manager. Now, these money managers get paid, or incentivized a little bit as a percentage of the overall money that they manage. And so they have a stake in the game to improve and to really grow your money. Because if they're successful in growing your money, then they make more money. And well-managed funds can outperform and do better than the indexes like the Dow Jones, the S&P 500, and the NASDAQ Composite. And later on, I'll show you how my mutual funds have done and show you that they're beating the indexes as well. Now that you've decided that maybe mutual funds would be a good investment to begin with, how do you even start to pick a mutual fund? Because there are thousands of mutual funds out there. Well, I've been investing since the late 1990s. And so I've invested with numerous investment companies such as Smith Barney, T. Rowe Price, Morgan Stanley, but my favorite is Fidelity. Fidelity makes it so easy for you to start investing and even to continue. They have a great user-friendly website. They also have very low fee funds that you can invest in, many with no transaction fees at all. And they have great educational resources on their website to learn more about investing, setting goals, financial planning, and things like that. So let me show you how you can get started very easily with Fidelity. I'll show you how easy it is to get started with Fidelity. So just go on their website, www.fidelity.com, and it'll bring you up to this page here. And as you can see, there's these toolbars at the very top, and they're great because they give you access to accounts that you can trade or even bill pay and use as cash, like a checking account. They have planning and advice. So in case you're looking into financial planning or tools to help you for goal setting, that's great for that. They also have some news and research as to all different types of investment options and news about the market. They have different investment products that you can take a look at, whether it's mutual funds or stocks or even college savings accounts or even long-term care or life insurance products. And there's also a page or section where it tells you why Fidelity is such a great choice and all the different insights and tools they have. But the one area that I really go to is the news and research. And I go down to the mutual funds, and this will bring you a screen here where you can kind of select different criteria to narrow down your search of thousands of mutual funds. I leave this section kind of blank here, but over here to the middle, I always try to click on the no transaction fee option here because I don't want to be paying any fees when getting into any type of fund. And also many times I'll select this Fidelity funds only, because I really like Fidelity. I like their professional money managers and how well they do, and it's very simple and easy to use. So many times I'll just sort by the Fidelity funds, but for now I'm going to leave this unchecked. And over here to the right, there's also these Morningstar ratings. And this is kind of similar to the product ratings on Amazon's website. When you go there and you look at reviews, and you want to make sure that you're buying a product, let's say that's 5-star reviews or 4-star reviews or higher. Same thing here. Morningstar is a third-party firm. It's independent, and they rate all types of stocks and mutual funds and different investment options. And so what you want to do is make sure that you look at those funds that have at least a 4-star rating or higher. So now you can see that, wow, you've got 1,184 different funds that match these criteria. So let's click over here to view results and see the list of different funds that are available. Now, one other criteria I'd like to select is the expenses. So if you click on this plus sign, it'll expand to these two categories. And the one that I choose is the net expense ratio. Now, you want to make sure that your funds that you're picking have an expense ratio of 1% or less. Now, remember, I mentioned that the S&P 500 has done about 10% over the 90 years on average. And if your mutual fund or if your fund that you're invested in has an expense ratio, say of 2% or higher, well, that 10% is not really what you're getting. You're probably getting something 8% or less in your pocket. So you don't want to have a lot of expenses be taken out. So keeping it to under 1% minimizes those expenses. So now you can see that there are 608 match funds that match your criteria. And so this is the list here. Now, they show you the performances for year to date, so how it's done since the beginning of the year, over a 1-year time frame, 3-year, 5-year, 10-year, and over the life of the fund since it first started. Also the expense ratios, it shows you the net expense ratios here, and the Morningstar rating stars, 4 stars, 5 stars, and how it ranks out of a group of funds. So what I tend to really look at is not so much the year to date, but I really look at the 3-year, the 5-year, and the 10-year performances. Why? Because you could have a fund that really does great since the beginning of the year. It's so hot, or maybe over 1 year it's done really well, but over 3, 5, and 10 years, it's not one of the best. It hasn't had that great long track record of success. On the flip side, you may have a fund that is doing really well in the life of the fund or even 10 years, but over maybe 1 year, it's tanked. It hasn't done really well at all. And so that kind of indicates to me that, okay, maybe this fund manager was, great at picking stocks or companies years ago, but recently hasn't done a good job, or maybe they had turnover. And so again, I want to look at the 3, 5, and 10 years. And so now here, if you click on the 3-year, it'll sort it either by worst at the top, or you click it again and it'll sort it by the best ones at the top. Now these 3 here that are shaded in green are the Fidelity branded funds. There's also Fidelity down below, but these are the top 3 that Fidelity recommends. But you don't have to go with Fidelity, like I said. You can choose like this Morgan Stanley or Lord Abbett or American Century funds because they've done really well. If you look at the 3-year percentages, these funds are in the 20%. Here's a few that are in the 30%, averaging each year for 3 years. If you look at the 5 years, again, they're in the 30 and high 20s. Here, in the 30 maybe and high 20s. And over the 10-year time frame, this is about 20%, and you're looking at about 20% here as well. So you could see that these are definitely beating the S&P 500 track record of 10, 12, 15% annually. So my recommendation would be, to pick one of these as your mutual fund of choice. Now you can see here the category that they're in. So if you're really focused on maybe technology stock companies like say Facebook, Apple, Google, Microsoft, well then maybe this is a good fund for you to be in. If you want to be more broad based and kind of say, all right, I want to invest in large companies that are established like Amazon, Walmart, Ford, GE, well then maybe a large growth type fund might be for you. There's other funds associated with different size companies like the small growth. This invests in small, but emerging companies that are growing, or a mid-sized company. They also have other ones in different sectors like in health here. If you're, really interested in believing that, with COVID-19 right now, a lot of the healthcare companies or pharmaceutical companies are going to do phenomenal. Well, you can invest in this health, medical technology, and devices portfolio here, mutual fund. But for me, I would probably stick to some of the Fidelity funds. And the one that I usually try to use, and I really like, is the Fidelity Blue Chip Growth Fund. So if you want to find out more information about any of those funds, just click on it and it'll bring you to a page here and it'll show you the Morningstar ratings. So this one's 5-star rated. The returns are very high, so that's great. The expenses are kind of on the average side and the risks are in between. Here it shows you again those performances for those time periods. But further down below, you could see that it provides some more information about this mutual fund, such as you can see the expense ratio here, the minimum to invest, $0, so that's great, and the performance on how it's done here. And you can see this, this blue chip growth fund stock is in purple and it's done better than the blue line, which is the Russell 1000, which is the top 1,000 US companies. And then the large growth line, which is many large companies grouped together. If you continue to look down below, it'll show you your top 10 holdings of the companies that this mutual fund invests in. You can see it's Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Alphabet. For many of you who may not know, Alphabet is Google, Tesla, Facebook. So a bunch of great companies. It'll also tell you the fund manager here, Sonu Kaura, and how long he's been with the fund. So since 2009, so a pretty long time. So he's well established and consistent. And it'll give you some more information about the fund as well. So this is a great spot to look at, if you want to find out more information about each of the funds. I told you I would show you one of my portfolios that I use with Fidelity, and here is one of my individual retirement accounts, IRAs that I rolled over from a prior company. And so I have it invested in the blue chip growth stock that I was just talking to you about. And as you can see, over the 1 year, it's done 59%, which is phenomenal. It's great. And you can see that, it's really done tremendous over the last several months. Now you could also look here and say, okay, what's my other time frames you want to look at, maybe on a 3-year basis or 5-year. And so it's great to kind of look at and see how your money is growing. And the default usually I think is just 1 year, but even down below, you can compare it against, other investment indexes like the S&P 500, the Dow Jones, and some other ones. And you could see that, over a 1-year period, over the 3 years that I've had it, it's definitely beating those indexes. And so this is the power of picking a good mutual fund. But again, you have to make sure that it matches your reward level and your risk tolerance as well. So now that you've done your research, you're ready and you can easily open it up an account. And of course, depending on your needs and the time frame that you want to invest in, you can pick a mutual fund that will be best for your situation. Now, don't get really too hung up over which mutual funds is the best, or which ones you want to go with. The main point here is just to pick one and to get started investing. You remember that time is your friend, so you want to start investing today so that you can start making your money work for you and building your wealth. And leave me a comment below if you had any questions on the material that I covered today, or if there's other material or topics that you would like for me to cover in future videos as well. Thanks for watching and have a great day.